37 billion yearly revenue and almost 77,000 people working for this organization. Their logo signifies speed and motion, and their famous slogan, "Just Do It," has become synonymous with motivation and athleticism. You guessed it right, I'm talking about the brand we all love, Nike. The entire story of Nike's journey is covered in the book Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, and this is Devendra, and I'm going to talk about this book and I'm going to review this book, so stay tuned. The author, Phil Knight, is an American billionaire and philanthropist who was the co founder of Nike Inc. Knight is a graduate of the University of Oregon and Stanford Graduate School of Business. He was part of the track and field club under coach Bill Bowman at the University of Oregon, with whom he would later co found Nike. Before founding Nike, Knight went through a lot of stuff after completing his education. He spent good amount of time gallivanting around the world. While he learned a lot about the people, culture and geography of the world, he gradually shaped his dream too. He was a track and field athlete, so it was quite natural for him to start a business around sports. Hence, a shoe company called Blue Ribbon that later became Nike. In Shoe Dog, he penned down his life struggles and his obsession with creating Nike, one of the world's biggest sports accessories brand. The review storytelling is a skill that may take years to hone and perfect. While most people spend their entire life perfecting it, some people are naturally good at it. Phil Knight is one of those people who are naturally good at it. He spent his entire life selling his dream and convincing people to make it their own as well. He spent his whole life convincing people why Nike was different from all other brands and why he was ready to put everything on the line for Nike. We see the same passion in his writing too. Of course, other people helped him shape and give the final look to this book, but mostly it was all him, and that made this book special. We see an honest attempt while trying to tell a story. The book was not written for commercial purposes but to share the story of the world's biggest sports accessories brand. The book contains all the important events that happened in Phil's life. He started with the early years of his life and he was just a normal student and an average track and field athlete. He explained why he was the best candidate for Bowman's experiments on running shoes and running techniques. Bowman always put his head in improving his runners. He spent his life being obsessed with research, runners, and helping his athletes run faster. He built several champions, including Olympians, and he was the most loved coach in all of Oregon. Not only was he the key reason for Nike's improved shoes, but he also founded the origin of Blue Ribbon. He was not too close to the coach in his college days, but he worked extensively with Bowman to improve his running abilities. Bowman was the backbone of Blue Ribbon. Later, Nike Phil talked about Bowman extensively in his book. He gives all due credit to Bowman for his contribution in shaping Nike into what it is today. He did not shy away from stating the facts about the bonding between him and Bowman. He always had great respect for the old coach and he never treated him the same way he did others. He took care of his needs and always made him feel wanted in Nike. He knew Bowman was the only person who could defeat Marlboro Man in terms of credibility and influence. He took Bowman's help in getting the contracts when he did them from Onitsuka. Phil's philosophy of work was also shaped by his business with Onitsuka. He loved Japan and there his plan for his own business was set in motion. Phil did not have much at his hand when it came to doing business with the Japanese. He read Mark Zuckerman's masterpiece, How to Do Business with Japanese, to learn about their businesses, customs, and cultures. He knew that the Japanese were not very fond of Americans. He knew the risk involved in doing every overseas business. He learned about their work styles while looking at the potential candidates for his business. He finally had a deal in his hand owing to borrowed money from his dad. He stayed in business with Onitsuka for a long time, but he always had his complaints. He could never trust Onitsuka, and he had pretty good reason to do so. He read in a book that you can never guess if the Japanese are going to do business with you solely based on your meetings with them. The Japanese would never show their intentions and always looked out for themselves. While doing business with Onitsuka, Phil had to face ups and downs and major lawsuits. Somewhere, the business with Onitsuka made him firm on his resolve to make sure Blue Ribbon becomes a big deal. Phil was already expecting betrayal from Onitsuka and he was ready for it when it came. He prepared to advance for what he needed to do, and then Nike Inc. came into existing. Phil did not believe in advertisement, rather, he thought that a good product sells itself. He reluctantly said yes, promoting the shoes and hired an agency to do the work, but later he was convinced of its potential and let the experts do their job. He was always involved in this how products were to appear in the market, from putting up billboards to giving free Nike t-shirts. He did everything and ensured that he went wherever he went, he could see people wearing a pair of Nike. He had athletes advertise his shoes to the world. He started locally and went to different universities to hurt the local heroes. This made Nike shoes popular and everyone wanted them. The demand surged at the speed that they were hardly able to fulfill. And then there was Woman, always experimenting to improve their shoes. He extensively talked about his family. He had a strict father who wanted Phil to get a stable job and build a life in Oregon. Initially, his father and he did not see eye to eye, and there was usually some tension between them. Like most teen kids, his relationship with his father was strained and then hardly interacted. His mom was a devout Christian woman and she always supported Phil. She fought with her husband for Phil and always encouraged Phil. Phil had sisters too and he had a good bond with them. His life started taking a good shape after he met Penny. Penny used to be a student when Phil taught economics at a university for a brief period. He offered Penny an accounting job at Blue Ribbon for $2 an hour. The Penny brought a lot of positive energy to his workplace and his life. The love blossomed gradually and eventually they tied the knot. Penny was the best thing that happened to Phil. He was always thankful to her for bringing her into his life. She brought peace and calm to his chaotic life. She was always supporting, never complained about Phil's busy life. She looked after the kids mostly by herself and provided sufficient time to Phil to help him focus on his work. Phil tried to be a different from his dad and spend more time with his kids. With time, Phil drew closer to his dad too. It became his life routine to sit on his chair in the evening and talk to his father for hours about his day, his work, and seek advice. Most biographers try to showcase only the good side of them and hide all their shortcomings. Even when authors talked about their shortcomings, they made sure that it came out as positive trait of themselves. But Phil is not of one of those people. He openly addressed the issues and problems with him. He was certainly tenacious and sharp, but he was lacking a leadership trait at several important points in his life. There was so many times when his team needed him or needed him to make a decision, but Phil decided not to respond. His colleagues were stuck at distant location asking for his advice. Even when Phil did not utter a word to them, he kept receiving letters from them, but responding to any of that was never his priority. He even hired his sister to look after these requests, and even she did not receive an appropriate response from Phil to work on these letters asking for guidance. There were other times when he needed to manage the finances of Blue Ribbon and then Nike, but Phil again put the entire company at stake for his ambition. He ignored the advice from banks and financial advisors. Though it finally paid off, decisions could go wrong at any time, and he could lose all he had built so far. I must praise Phil for pointing out and talking about this in details. He is one of those very few people who openly accept their mistakes and try to learn from them to do better in future. Another thing that I liked in Shoe Dog was Phil gave appropriate credit to all the people in his life. He spent enough time talking about his colleagues, partners, and family members who made an impact on his life. He was honest with what he felt at a certain point towards a certain person. He praised his friends for all the good things they did and showed his disagreements with their own decisions. The book is balanced and all aspects were given enough space and time. Another thing I liked in Shoe Dog was the Phil gave appropriate credit to all the people in his life. He spent enough time talking about his colleagues, partners, and family members who made an impact on his life. He was honest with what he felt at certain points towards a certain person. He praised his friends for all the good things they did and showed his agreement with others. However, I still felt that he could leave out a few parts from his book and make it a bit crispier. Phil spent unnecessary time talking about his personal relationship, which had no impact on his journey while creating Nike. Those parts were a little boring to me and made this read a little tedious. Conclusion: I loved Shoe Dog by Phil Knight and I can't recommend it enough to everyone. This book has everything everything you want in a book: an inspiring journey, good storytelling, relatable incidents, character development, more. You will have a great time reading this one. And that's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to know more, if you want me to review a few more books, you can let me know. I'll do that and put the same in the comments. Thank you so much for listening so far.